So you're a new band and you're just starting out. It's like your first or fifth or even 10th or 15th gig. And you still really don't quite know how to write a tech writer or something like that. This series is for you. This is the first video. It's like an intro, and it'll be just like a base layer for all of you guys so we know where to start from. It's pretty much for everybody that's played their first gig, and there's like basically a 10-tip sort of format. Why should you listen to anything I say? Well, number one, I'm a musician, and I've been so for, well, I don't know, 20 years. I've been playing shows in and around Germany and Europe for 20 years, some tours. And apart from that, I also work as a front of house technician for a select few nice clubs in the southwest of Germany. And as such, there's like a couple of things that I'm noticing that, especially now with like COVID being pretty much over and the clubs being back open and stuff, there's a bunch of new bands that they're struggling. Like there's obviously no information out there on this, so here's 10 tips. The first one is pretty obvious, but once you get a gig booked, like solid in the books, you know, done, put a check mark on it, we're going there, promote the show. I mean, it's as easy as just, you know, sharing the flyer on Instagram or making a quick video announcement on TikTok or YouTube, or heck, even adding it to a Facebook event and inviting all of your mom's friends and stuff. Tell people about it, like in real life, or print out flyers. Like, they don't have to be anything fancy. Like, you don't have to break the bank doing this. Just print out the thing that you put on your Facebook, Instagram's, whatnot page, and Xerox it 1,000 times and just distribute it everywhere. That's like the absolute minimum. Places that you play will expect you to do this. If you don't, nobody will be at your show. It used to be that venues would promote shows, like heavily promote shows, and they'd like actually take out ads in local radio stations and stuff, but none of that's happening anymore because, well, ain't nobody got time or budget for that. Another thing that you might prepare is merch. I mean, if you're going to play a gig, your end goal with this gig is supposedly to get people to know you, to, you know, make a lasting impression, and to sort of spread the word about your band. You could do that from home. Just record a demo version of any song that you wrote and upload it to YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. So why would you play a gig if you can just upload a video and have potentially 1 million people stumble on it, when your gig only will draw, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 people or 50 people? You get the chance to interact with them personally at a gig, which is really nice. I mean, you can talk to people after the show, before the show, you sort of mingle, but you have also the opportunity to sell merch to them or give them free items like stickers or bottle openers or whatever. People like free shit, and generally speaking, people like stickers. So stickers is a pretty good option for your first merch item. It's fairly simple and cheap. Over here, I can have 500 to 1,000 made for roughly 50 euros, which is dirt cheap. I have no idea what the stickers cost where you live, but I'm assuming they're roughly the same. Okay, so we're preparing for the gig in this phase, and let's say we want to have an intro play, or we're not quite sure if the venue will be ready for us because we have this one song where we have the acoustic, and, you know, and our friend Thomas from this other band is going to come on and play 2 songs on drums, but he's left-handed, and maybe we'll run into trouble with that. How do we remedy that? Well, by asking. The simple way is to call and ask. A bit more pro version of that is to write a tech writer. Tech writers are fairly easy to make, and in all honesty, they're not much more than like just a list of stuff that you have, need, and bring. So we have 5 people in the band. There's a drummer, 2 guitarists, a bassist, and a singer. There is a in-ear monitoring rig in the middle, and we split everything. And we supply our own mics, our own XLR cables, and you will just be handed the leads out of our in-ear rig. I can also add like a diagram of who is on stage, and it don't need names, just positions like bass is stage left or stage right. Like general announcements as we would like only white light on our show, whatever, or stuff like that. The technical stuff goes in a tech writer, and the simplest one is just a word sheet that just has a list of stuff that you need to make your show run smoothly. We need this to make our show run, and maybe have nice haves or nice to haves in a bracket or something like that. Nice to have for me is always a projector to project band logos and video material in the background. That for me counts as nice to have for most of the size venues that I play. Yeah. So, this is another thing. Guitarists. Why do you assume that the venue will have guitar cables? We generally don't. Bring guitar cables. And while you're at it, bring your own amps. Like, please, just, unless otherwise specified, bring everything that you have in your rehearsal room to rehearse. Don't assume that stuff will be there. Put it in the tech writer and then send it to the venue like 4 to 5 weeks in advance and call to see if they got it. And please make sure that they send it to the front of house technician, because more often than not, they will not. Now that we're fully prepared, we're on to the gig. The day of the gig. You're packing your stuff. You're making sure you have everything. You have the cables, you have the guitars, you have the bass, you have the bassist. By the way, drums. Usually for small gigs, drums will be shared. So ask around. Over here, it's commonplace to have like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook chat or just Insta DMs to sort of get out of the way all of the logistics. Who will supply drums, maybe a bass cab, and will there be guitar cabinets there, and who will supply it, because the venue will not have it over here. On the day of the gig, get there on time. Better yet, plan to be early. There is usually a thing called get in time, and it'll have get in 5, sound check 5:30. Those times are pretty much set in stone for professional run venues. Like if you're playing like a youth club or something, it'll be a little less strict, but just still treat it with all of the professionalism that you can muster, and just get there by the time that you told the people that you'd be there. Better yet, be there 15 minutes early. Now, we're getting ready for sound check. We're setting up. The front of house person, if there is one, has set up mics, and now it's your turn to sound check. First things first, sound check is there for checking sound, not rehearsing that new song of yours with the bass player for the first time or waking up the drummer from a coma. What that means is the person behind the mixing board will tell you kick, which means play the bass drum. That doesn't mean guitar player, try out some fancy new Mixolydian scale. It means the bass drum and only the bass drum. Then they'll be usually followed by snare, which means play the snare and nothing else. And then toms, one after the other. Bass, only the bass, no guitars, no drums. And if you're checking vocals, that means everything else on stage is silent. You sound check in order to check how you will sound later that night. Everything you change after you sound check and do not tell the person behind the mixing board will not sound the same as during sound check. So, if you sound check with the venue's house mic and then you come out to your gig and you bring your own mic, you might run into trouble because mics sound differently. That also goes for guitar players. Once you're checked, don't turn up the volume or fiddle with the EQ. It messes with everything. Just you know, what happens at soundcheck stays like it was at fucking soundcheck. Please. It is generally a good idea to know how long you have to play. If the promoter says you have 30 minutes, then you have 30 minutes. You don't have 30 minutes and 5 seconds or 34 minutes and, but my pedal wasn't quite connected in the beginning, so the 30 minutes only counted 5 minutes in. No, it's 30 minutes. It says 8 to 8:30, you play, and then you tear down. And that means that your set better be 29 minutes and 50 seconds. And not a second longer. And it's generally a good idea to rehearse to that and to write the set accordingly. And if you're done 5 minutes early, yes, you might play one more song, but please don't make it a 14-minute song. Just, you know, you have 30 minutes or 45 or whatever they give you. But stick to the time frame that you're given. And then afterwards, don't try to mix and mingle. Just get your stuff off the stage as quickly as possible. Drummers, if you have your own stands with you, like cymbal stands and stuff, just drag all of them off, like the entire thing, backstage or side of stage or wherever. You can take the cymbals off the stands over there. No problem. Guitarists, just pedal boards, guitar is fine. The amp will still be there usually after everybody else has played. You're still at the gig. And yeah, all right, you're having fun. It's all about having fun, you know, that's what you do this for. It's not that it's like a career at this point because, let's face it, you're starting out, you're a new band, and you're having a bit of a drink. Now, this doesn't apply to me because I'm straight edge, and it suits me very well. Let me tell you that. Because when people get a beer or two in them, they get loose and everything's fine. The problem is when there's a Jack Daniels bottle on stage at soundcheck already, and then the bassist has like 18 Jaeger bombs during his set and starts vomiting into the monitors, and then you guys never play a show in that town ever again, or something like that. Just, you know, maybe lay off the drink till after your set. Just keep it to a socially acceptable level, sort of. And while we're at it, just, you know, and this is the most important tip of all of these, is be nice. Be nice to everybody. Be nice to the sound person. Be nice to the other bands, and say thank you to whoever put you on that night during your show multiple times. Say thanks to the audience that they came and stuck around and watched you perform. And be nice to the bar staff. The bar staff is the most important crew that you can be nice to. Because over here, our bar staff runs music in the bar, usually, like background music and stuff. And with everybody being on Spotify and iTunes and stuff, they could stream your music on their Tuesday night shift. But they won't if you were a dick. So don't be. Just generally being nice to people goes a long way, especially in the early days of your career. So this was sort of the intro and basic sort of etiquette for clubs and venues and things to sort of look out for when you're playing your first couple of shows. But there's far more ground to cover, like how do we actually sound good on stage? How do I write a tech writer? Blah, blah, blah. And this will all be covered in the next couple episodes of this series. So you're a new band. And I'm Nick. you're a new band, it'd be nice if you subscribed. And if you have any questions whatsoever, like how do we run click tracks on stage, just leave them in the comments and I'll get to that as soon as I have the chance. Thanks. Goodbye.